Hey, everybody. What's going on? What's hot? What's hip? What's happening? What's shaking on your Monday post-Super Bowl evening? We got a big one planned for you tonight. Yes, it's Kolchak, the Night Stalker. The lot to cover. But first, before I tell you all about it, like, share, subscribe, retweet, notification bell, all the free things you can do that help us with the algorithm, the almighty, all-powerful algorithm. And plus, we have super chats, we have memberships. We love it when you do that because they help us pay the bills around here. And also, turn on those gifted memberships. Very, very generous people will give out memberships, and then you can get that exclusive members-only content on the weekend that we do. And this weekend, we provided you with so much Super Bowl information that probably made everybody look like a genius. Their various parties and buffalo wing consuming, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, and people are up in arms about the Super Bowl halftime show, as they always are, and I don't care. I quit watching at halftime. It was a mess. It wasn't a good game. And people have the unmitigated gall to call soccer boring. 60-minute game, takes 3 hours to play, and there's 8 minutes of actual athletic competition. I'm just saying. Sometimes it's exciting. It wasn't exciting at all. I got a lot of great people here this evening. We've got Gilman. We've got Marie Valenzuela. We've got Johnny 8. We've got the legendary Doopa-Doopa-Doo. We've got Stan the Man, Stanley Cross from the Urban Landlord on YouTube. And I'm sure We'll have a cast of thousands and some exciting folks showing up any minute throughout the show. Until then, I got to vamp here for a couple minutes. I don't like to get started within the first couple minutes. Yeah, give them 3 or 4 minutes just to get here. Oh boy, here's a big name. Rumpled Trenchcoat, a Columbo podcast. If you haven't been watching that on YouTube, you are missing out. Watch an episode of the Columbo and then go to the corresponding Rumpled Trenchcoat and listen to it. It's going to change your life. I'm serious. And I think, personally, that Columbo and Carl Kolchak would get along really well. They both wear the same thing all the time, rumpled clothing. They both just won't let it go. You know, the only thing that Kolchak has that Columbo doesn't is just to my left there, Vincenzo. They have the angry boss. Always angry. Never happy. Ever. But we'll get to it. Oh, by the way, yeah, there we go. People saying hi. We do have the most cheerful chat room on the internet. It's verified by independent sources. I'm not kidding. We do. I just checked again. The most. Julian Caesar is here with us. Hi. Good to have Julian as usual. He was with us this weekend. He really was. Let's see. Kolchak would have to convince Columbo that the vampires he kills are not part of his jurisdiction. Well, that's another thing. It's Kolchak, because he is a reporter for the independent news service based out of Chicago. He travels around all over the place, and one of the episodes does, in fact, take place in Los Angeles, California. People saying hi again. People saying hi. Why don't we get into it? Why don't we just... Sorry, I just got a little notification on my phone. That doesn't happen very well. Yeah, that's stupid. Let's see. I had a... This is so stupid. I had a company approach me today, just today, about a news anchor position on television. And the email that they sent me demanded that I speak Turkish. I don't speak Turkish. Chef is in the house. Oh, Summer Rose is with you. Well, all right. My father and daughter watching together. We love that. Anyway, let me tell you about Kolchak, the Night Stalker. There he is in all of his glory. Darren McGavin, who plays Carl Kolchak, the legendary news reporter for the independent news service, who just won't let it go. He just won't. Kolchak, the Night Stalker, aired on ABC during the 1974-1975 season. Now, one of the things I'll tell you right off the bat, and I'm going to tell you a lot of things about this show. Stick with it, though, because then I'm going to get into the actual plots and things, which will blow your mind. The series was about a guy that worked for a wire service, Carl Kolchak, and he investigated mysterious crimes with unlikely causes, especially if they involved the supernatural or science fiction or just bizarre creatures. They would always sort of be just a regular everyday murder, and then he would keep digging and keep digging and keep digging. Now, this show is so influential. It's incredibly influential. Chris Carter is the guy that was the creative force behind the X-Files. And he said Kolchak was a tremendous influence. Okay? The deal is that this show is exponentially more popular today than it ever was when it aired. It had a small, fervent following when it was on ABC. But after, and I'll cover it, after it was off the air is when it really picked up momentum. And I can tell you right now, there's an incredible Facebook group about Kolchak, the Night Stalker, with amazing fan art and all sorts of stuff. It's really great. Now, originally, the Night Stalker was not a TV series. It, like many shows of the 70s, began as a TV movie. But even before that, The character of Carl Kolchak was originated in a novel by Jeff Rice called The Kolchak Papers. And he was based in Las Vegas in the actual novel. And he tracks down and defeats a serial killer who turns out to be a vampire named Janos Skorzeny. Yes, Janos Skorzeny. So ABC goes to this guy and they say, hey, look, we want to make a movie out of this. And they did. They said, we're going to get an incredible writer of sort of science fiction, supernatural stories named Richard Matheson. And he adapted the novel into a television script. And The Night Stalker got the highest ratings of any television movie ever at that time. A 33.2 rating, 54 share. That's just gigantic. And even further, Richard Matheson got a 1973 Edgar Award from the Mystery Writers of America for Best TV Feature or Miniseries Teleplay. It was a huge, huge success. And so ABC, not being stupid, said, look, let's do another one. So they got Matheson to write a second movie called The Night Strangler. Okay? And Simon Oakland, I'll just give you Simon Oakland, in his usual, he played Tony Vincenzo, the editor for the independent news service, who hated Kolchak going on these wild goose chases about these monsters and stuff. Just couldn't stand it. Absolutely couldn't stand it. And that particular movie also did extremely well. A couple of little novelettes in paperback were released. They were smash hits. So in late 1973, they decided they were going to do a TV series, okay? And that TV series featured an incredible, and I mean incredible, lineup of guest stars that I will tell you about in just one moment. Let me get through some comments that you have. Let's see here. Rumpled Trenchcoat very, very intelligently says, seem like speaking Turkish is a detail they might have wanted to confirm before offering you a job. The Wolf is here. He says, hello, folks. People saying hi. 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 The Wolf says, I've seen this series probably 30 times. It's an amazing series. And by the way, easy to see for a variety of reasons. I'll get to that later. Darren McGavin was just perfect for that role, too. Oh, wasn't he? Wasn't he? I'm going to show that press release, that press pass, here in a second. Darren McGavin, this right here is such a great shot of him in this series because he wasn't just a reporter. He was a detective to a certain extent because of the way he worked, but he was also a con man. He was a little like Rockford, to be honest with you. Let's see here. So was Simon. Let's see here. Simon Oakland, yes, was incredible as Tony Vincenzo. Gosh, Simon Oakland as the editor darn near steals the show every single time. Love Darren McGavin. Rumpled Trenchcoat says that ID picture of Kolchak is cracking me up right now. It really is. Jay Bizzle is here. Says, hey, Tom. Hey, Jay Bizzle. How are you? Yeah, he always had that crazy hat on and that sort of seersucker suit. You know, it was just incredible. But there he is. You can tell he's kind of charming his way into a would-be villain. And I'll just point this out before I get to some of these guest stars. One of the things about the Night Stalker was all these supernatural creatures and various phenomena. A lot of times, the villain was a monster or a supernaturally related person who was masquerading as a normal person, usually an extremely successful one. And so when he would accuse them of it, it would be like, what, that guy? Are you kidding me? It couldn't possibly be him. There you go. Oh, yeah, there you go. Wolf, yeah, I think he wore Stan Smith tennis shoes. And he drove that old Mustang convertible. Yeah, Kolchak was just, it was a piece of work. I'll get to some of these guest stars. It's amazing. Charles Aidman, most of you won't recognize his name, a legendary voiceover talent. Scatman Crothers, Dick Van Patten from Eight is Enough, Larry Storch from F Troop, Alice Ghostly from Bewitched, Julie Adams from Creature of the Black Lagoon. And by the way, I'm not doing these people a great service. They were in a million things, all these people I'm mentioning. John Daner, of course, and I am doing a John Daner story this week. We cover him so much, and we talk about him so much, and he's an idol of mine. We're doing John Daner this week. Phil Silvers from Sergeant Bilko. Bernie Capel, the doctor on Love Boat. Martin Miller from Adam 12. Let's see here. James Gregory, who you might notice mostly from Barney Miller. Hans Conried, Mary Wicks, whose name won't mean anything to you, but if you saw her face, you'd go, oh my God, she was in everything. Carolyn Jones from the Addams Family, famous comedian Jackie Mason, Stella Stevens, who the Wolf and I like for two big reasons. Let's see here. David Doyle, who you'll know as Bosley on Charlie's Angels. Jim Backus, Mr. Magoo, the professor, not the professor, Thurston Howell from Gilligan's Island. Kathleen Freeman, another actress whose name might not mean much to you, but if you see her face, you'd know her instantly. John Hoyt, same thing. Dwayne Hickman, Dobie Gillis himself. Eric Braeden from The Young and the Restless for like 40 years. Tom Skerritt, who most of you would probably most easily recognize as from the original Top Gun movie. He was Viper. He was the commanding officer for Maverick. Eric Estrada, Punch from Chips. William Daniels, the voice of Kit on, the car show, whatever. Jamie Farr from MASH. Laura Parker, we talked about her in Dark Shadows, Angelique. Pat Harrington Jr., who played Schneider on One Day at a Time. Larry Linville, who was Major Frank Burns on MASH. And Richard Keel, who was Jaws in the Roger Moore, James Bond movies. And also, I'm going to mention out really quickly here, Kathy Brown, who was Darren McGavin's wife, and who also played like the lead alien girl on that famous episode of Star Trek with the, and it turns out they're at super speed so nobody can see them, and Kirk goes back. It's a long story, but she also was in a million things. Now, let's see here. Got a couple quick comments. Julie Adams, yummy, yes. Coach Mike Rodick says, when I was a kid and I couldn't tell Darren McGavin and Vic Morrow apart. It's an easy mistake to make, Coach. Don't worry about it. These shows really hold up. And like a lot of shows, it's because we covered it with Duel. We've covered this a lot. Get Smart, a lot of things. The very first professional writing credit for Robert Zemeckis, who later became a really famous director, won an Academy Award. He directed the Back to the Future franchise, and they wrote a script for The Night Stalker. David Chase created The Sopranos, and he worked on the series as a story editor, and that was his first regular staff position in Hollywood. He also helped write a lot of the shows. Darren McGavin and others attributed a bunch of the show's quick, quirky humor to David Chase. Now, what happened to this series? What happened to it? Well, the ratings were always mediocre, and Darren McGavin was sort of dissatisfied by working on this television series. Darren McGavin often rewrote parts of the scripts and things himself. He just wasn't happy, And it was canceled after a year. But why? Well, they bounced it around everywhere. It started on Friday nights at 10, which was a graveyard. It's where they sent the shows that they didn't really care if they succeeded or not. In January of 75, the show was moved to Friday nights at 8, where it remained until June of 1975. And then in August of 75, ABC moved Kolchak to Saturday nights at 8 for the final 4 weeks of reruns. As I mentioned, Darren McGavin was rewriting script and doing a lot of the work of a producer, but he didn't get credit or compensation for either thing. He didn't like the sort of the monster of the week direction of the show, and he did not like the very exhausting film schedule because he was in every scene. He asked to be released from his contract with 2 episodes remaining to be filmed, and the network said, yeah, go ahead. This show isn't getting any ratings anyway. Now's a good time also to mention that they took a lot of these episodes and sort of Frankensteined them together to make movie of the weeks. So the show was gone in September of 1975. But CBS, to compete with some other late programming, The Tonight Show and everything else, had a program called the CBS Late Movie. And they got all the Kolchaks away from ABC. That's when Kolchak returned and started to be a smash success late at night. Okay? And so CBS is seeing all these ratings. They pull it for the summer and they bring it back in the fall. Unfortunately, Universal, who owned the franchise, held back some episodes to make those TV movies, and it was brought back 2 more times late at night. In 1981, 6 years after it was canceled, and 1988, which is 13 years after it was canceled. In 1990, they released a whole bunch of these TV movies, and they were huge successes. All 20 episodes. There's only 20 episodes of this show. Were seen for the first time since 1975 on Sci-Fi in the early 1990s, and then were released to video on DVD in 2005. Netflix had it for rental for a long time, and for on-demand streaming. It was available for a while, then they'd take it off. It wasn't a part of the Peacock streaming site, but it was available on the NBC.com platform. And then in September of 2020, MeTV, which if you get your television over an antenna, you probably have access to MeTV. If not, you can see it on Roku or Fire Stick if you add the Philo, Philo, or Friendly, FRNDLY apps. You can watch it on MeTV Saturday nights at 11 Central. And MeTV also has a lot of Night Stalker trivia. The whole series was released on Blu-ray using new 2K scans of the original film negatives. And there's commentary tracks by TV and film historians on every episode, as well as the original previews. So, anyway, let's see. What I got here? Wolf's a big Dan Curtis fan. Yep. Mike Rodich, people saying hi. Good evening to my friends in chat. Oh, hey, Tom. Hello, Coach. Hello, Coach. People saying hi. Rumple Trenchcoat says, I hate it when a great show is canceled due to dumb administration decisions. Yeah. But, he wasn't happy anyway. The Wolf agrees. Paused Up Patriot is here. Haven't seen you in a while, buddy. Good to see you. People saying hi. Julian Zeezer says, does that dumb administration decision still happen these days with streaming and on demand? Maybe current tech gives a lot more chances than old TV used to. I think you're right, Julian Zeezer, but there's still dumb decisions that get made. That'll always be the case, I think. Wolf says, I, of course, always watched it for free. Same here, Wolf. Although I'm tempted to buy that Blu-ray series because I bet it's just pristine. Seems like we have more good TV series these days simply because it's easier to schedule and watch times or binge watching. That may be true. Let's see here. Hey, Dupa. Hey, Kim. Melva Bumpus says, Tom Gulley is running cover for serial killers right out in the open. I am not, but I am tracing your IP address, Melva. That's a joke. Anyway, Rumple Trenchcoat says it does help Julian, but different dumb decisions like canceling a great show after 2 seasons to save money and avoid royalties, etc. Another big problem today, I would say, Julian, is that when a show becomes popular, the showrunners will abandon the show and move on to another opportunity after a couple of seasons. Back in the day, people, because of the lack of other opportunities, would stay with the show and the quality would remain high for a very long time. There's a lot of shows, Longmire being one of them I could point to, that the first couple of seasons are amazing and then it just goes to what's going on here. So there you go. Oh, there's the Wolf. He says, if you make it, we will watch. And for that, of course, the Wolf gets the point, which we give to everyone who donates to the program. Let's see here. Anyway, so Carl Kolchak, as we mentioned earlier, is a reporter. He's an investigative reporter for the Chicago branch of the Independent News Service, very small news agency in a very small, dungy, gringy, or grungy, dingy, whichever you prefer, office. He would investigate any activities that are bizarre or supernatural. And he would often try to obtain proof of them, and the proof would always get burned up, misplaced, that sort of thing. It didn't go well for him in the end. Each episode has Kolchak either speaking into his portable cassette recorder or writing about what had transpired as his narration is heard during the episode. I did have a picture, well, I guess the thumbnail for this particular show has him with his really old school, awful recorder. He also, he had this just terrible camera that he would use to take pictures with. This old beat up, just, you know, ad hoc camera, that he would use to take pictures of stuff to try to get the proof. He needs the proof. And it would end up he never really got the proof. He'd write the story anyway, but he would always, solve the mystery, kill the monster, do whatever was necessary to make it happen. So good old Carl Kolchak had this expression on his face quite a lot on the show where he saw something even he couldn't believe. Let's see here. Metal Maiden Vicky says, good evening, Tom and everyone. Metal Maiden Vicky, sorry you had server problems this weekend. The Wolf and I were in your chat room for about 20 minutes before we realized there was no show. Hail the illustrious Ball State Ring of Power. Well, I mean, since you mentioned it, there it is, the Ball State Ring of Power. There should be an episode of Kolchak about the Ball State Ring of Power and how it has, rocketed me to the top of the podcasting and vodcasting world. Kolchak, let's see, people saying hi, people saying hi, people saying hi, people saying hi, people saying hi. And the Wolf is very, very correct. He did use that flash to scare off monsters on many occasions. Accidentally, a lot of times, too, by the way. Kolchak would often accidentally do something. Okay, so he is universally recognized, Carl Kolchak, as talented, but can't shut up. He just can't shut up. He's just too outspoken for his own good. SG Fanboy is here, the living legend, the living legend. Good to see you, SG. Very good to see you. So he'd drive around Chicago in his beat up yellow Ford Mustang, and he had that Rolex 16 camera and his portable cassette recorder. And using just little bits of information, he would bust these case open, just relying on gut instinct and dumb luck. And often law enforcement doesn't want him messing around and investigating. Other people get in his way. I mentioned the destruction of evidence that make his claims seem outlandish because he has no proof. And of course, we have Tony Vincenzo, his long-suffering editor, who many times has to take a lot of heat for the things that Kolchak is doing. I just got off the phone with the police. They don't want you near this story. You know, that kind of thing. I swear to you, he had this expression on his face most of the time. Here he is with Kolchak having one of their, but what if, you know, I could just hear him. Yeah. He's just a wrecking ball. Carl Kolchak. He just doesn't care. He keeps getting in trouble. And Vincenzo, he's the editor-in-chief of the Independent News Service. And he's one of the few people that will tolerate Kolchak and his nonsense. Even though they are constantly screaming at each other, Vincenzo's temper, his high-strung personality, very often affects his blood pressure, and he's always talking about, I need to quit this job and go into the family's Venetian blind business. He brings up the Venetian blind business that his family has. It's apparently extremely successful. I could have an easy life. I'd be making money hand over fist. It never happens. It never, ever, ever happens. The series tackled most of the major monster tropes, vampires, werewolves, mummies, zombies. It also had ghosts, witches, a succubus, pacts with Satan, native folklore, Native American folklore, Hindu, Louisiana Creole, and a lot of science fiction, androids, an invisible alien stranded on Earth, prehistoric ape man, a humanoid lizard protecting its eggs. There was, I'm not going to do this part right now. I'm going to wait until I get, because I'm going to run you through the plots of all 20 episodes real quickly, one sentence apiece. The music was heavily recognized as being outstanding, award-winning. And, let's just see here what we've got in terms of more quotes. Metal says, the female office worker gives him a new hat at some point. Was it the intern or was it the old lady, the secretary there? Stribbs is here, says happy to be here. Julian Zeezer says, how did the Venetians ever let that window treatment business get outsourced? I don't know. It was a poor tariff structure. Dupa says, SG, I know your new schedule is busy, but it's always great when you're able to join the chat. It is just SG. We love seeing you here, and you hold a special place in the lore of the Tom Gulley Show. Positive Patriot says, some of that stuff is real, Tom. I know. Billy Zane is here asking, no spiders. I think there were spiders in some episodes. Thank God. The Wolf says, Metal, nearly ruining his ability to solve the case. Yes, always. They must have turned a blind eye, Julian, says Rumpled Trenchcoat. People saying hi. The old lady. I could have, let's just, since you're asking about her, it is of note. The old lady's name was Emily Cowles. She was played by a really great actress who, by the way, died right after this series was over. She was the puzzles and advice columnist for the Independent News Service, known as Miss Emily, super popular with readers. She wants to be a novelist, and of course she has all these crazy opinions about the elderly being persecuted. And she's friends with Kolchak. She's one of the very few people that appreciates him and has a very warm relationship with him. So there. I got Emily in there, and she has you to thank for it, Metal Maiden Vicky. Mike Rodick says, you know how to make a Venetian blind? You poke its eyes out. Now, come on. Hello, Billy, says the Wolf. All right, let's get into these actual episodes. And there's Kolchak, who clearly feels he's got the villain by the horns here. In the first episode, now I'm not going to talk about the two movies. I'll kind of circle back to one of them here in a second. But Kolchak in the first episode, called The Ripper, argues that a serial killer is actually Jack the Ripper. The second episode, called The Zombie, it's a woman whose grandson was murdered by mobsters, and she uses voodoo to turn him into a zombie and take revenge. So he's killing all these monsters. Val Biscoglio and J. Pat O'Malley were in this one, as was Antonio Fargas, who was Huggy Bear on Starsky and Hutch, and Scatman Crothers also in that episode. This next episode is just, there's so many that are my favorites. It's called They Have Been, They Are, They Will Be. And some people call this episode UFO. But basically, an invisible alien sucks the bone marrow out of people while it's attempting to repair its spaceship and looks for ways to get back to where it's from. Also, by the way, on this episode, sportscaster Dick Enberg can be heard on Kolchak's car radio calling Game 1 of a fictional World Series between the Chicago Cubs and Boston Red Sox, which is a huge practical joke at the time in 1974, because it had been 80 or 90 years since either the Cubs or the Red Sox had been in a World Series. The next episode circles back to that very first made-for-TV movie, okay? It's a sequel to the first movie called The Night Stalker. An overlooked victim of vampire Janos Skorzenzi from Las Vegas makes her way to Los Angeles and begins killing anew, okay? The next episode is called The Werewolf, and in snowy Chicago, the independent news service team holds this big send-off for Tony Vincenzo, okay? Vincenzo is going to get to go on a cruise. He works all the time. You never see him out of the office. He's there all the time. But at the last second, Vincenzo gets audited by the IRS. And so, of course, Kolchak wheedles his way, charms his way into taking Vincenzo's place on the cruise, and ends up stumbling on this werewolf who's on a massive killing spree. A massive killing spree. Yeah. The next one's called Firefall. This is the way these plots were. They were interesting. I'm going to read you these things. They were interesting. All right. So, the ghost of an arsonist, so a guy that sets fires, it's his ghost, and he takes over the body of a very famous orchestra conductor and kills a whole bunch of the conductor's underlings by spontaneous human combustion, which incidentally, we did a show on spontaneous human combustion. The next one's called The Devil's Platform, and that's where a politician, Tom Skerritt, Maverick's commanding officer, Viper in the first movie, he's a political upstart, but he's just rocketing to the top of politics. Why? He made a pact with Satan that he uses to kill his opponents or people in his way by turning into an invulnerable dog. It's the truth. Bad Medicine, that was a Native American legend, a shaman spirit called Diablero. And it's Richard Keel, the giant guy, Jaws, from the Roger Moore James Bond movies. He murders jewelers for payback of a debt so that he can be released from his earthly bonds. The next one's called The Spanish Moss Murderers. It also has Richard Keel, and it's a sleep study that's going on. And when this one guy dreams, he conjures up this Louisiana Creole legend that just starts killing anyone that threatens its survival through this guy's dreams. Now, the next one is a really favorite one of mine. I love this episode. It's called the Energy Eater. And what happens is, and this was kind of big in the 70s and 80s, a hospital is built on this, Native American land, and this Native American god is resurrected, and it feeds on all forms of energy, electricity. So batteries are going dead, car batteries, all the power going out in buildings, and you name it. Really good episode. Horror in the Heights was this Hindu demon, and it would eat the flesh of people, and it would get close to them by shapeshifting. It would assume the form of somebody that their intended victim trusted very highly. Mr. RING, this is another great one. An escaped android. They're developing this android, scientific technology. And it just starts murdering anyone that threatens its survival. So anyone that tries to shut it down, anyone that has a way that it can be sabotaged or anything, it kills them. Primal Scream is about a defrosted, savage prehistoric ape man. Actually, it's just a few cells that grow into the ape man, and it goes on a rampage. The next one, really good one. It's called the Trevi Collection. And this is another sort of, trope element of the Night Stalker. In this episode, a witch, played by Lara Parker, which is appropriate because she played a witch on Dark Shadows, Angelique, wants to take over the world of high fashion. So in many of the episodes, the supernatural person, being, whatever, would use its powers for profit, for getting ahead, ways of doing things in the modern world that would position them above other people. This next episode is so cool. It's called Chopper. And a headless motorcycle rider murders those who are responsible for his death. So it's kind of the old legend of Sleepy Hollow, only on a motorcycle. All right? Number 16, episode 16, called Demon in Lace. An ancient Mesopotamian clay tablet is sort of looked over by a succubus, which is a female demon, a really sexy one that can seduce men. And it possesses the corpse of a recently dead girl to murder young men by seducing them and giving them heart attacks during the act of physical love, to maintain her immortality. Okay? Legacy of Terror. This one is actually about a whole cult. Yes, I said cult. That they have this mummified leader that needs sacrifices, and they have to sacrifice what they call perfect warriors. So there are, athletes and various other quote unquote perfect warriors. The Nightly Murders. This is another great episode, and this is the one with John Daner in it. They're about to knock down this very famous mansion that's existed for quite a long time. And inside the mansion is a suit of armor. Well, that suit of armor was owned back in the medieval times, and it was of a knight. Well, this knight doesn't want to dwell anywhere else. Its spirit is in the armor, and so the armor reanimates and kills the people that are trying to knock the building down. Number 19 is The Youth Killer, and you all know who Helen of Troy was, a very famous beauty that they fought the Trojan War over. Well, she's played by Kathy Lee Crosby, ex-wife of Joe Theismann, for those of you who like sports. And Helen of Troy comes back to drain the youth out of perfect victims as a sacrifice to this goddess known as Hecate in her quest to remain immortal. And the last episode was this lizard creature that killed a bunch of subterranean workers, guys that did things in the underground of a city where there's drainage and power lines and things. And some of those workers have stumbled on the eggs of this lizard creature, and the lizard creature wants them back. So starts killing them all. Now, as I mentioned, with the 2 episodes left, TV series at the time had 22 episodes. It was canceled, so only 20 were completed. They originally ordered 26, however, meaning that there were some episodes that have full scripts. The scripts were written and approved, but never produced. And there are 3 of those. So anyway, I went through most of the legacies of these things. Predecessor to the X-Files, inspired by the Twilight Zone or Outer Limits. Chris Carter, of the X-Files, paid tribute to the Night Stalker in a bunch of X-Files episodes. There was a character named Richard Matheson, who, of course, wrote those first 2 movies. He wanted Darren McGavin to appear as Kolchak in the X-Files, but Darren McGavin wanted no part of it. So he also said, well, then why don't you portray Mulder's father? He didn't want to do that either. Anyway, but he did eventually appear in a bunch of episodes as Arthur Dales, a retired FBI agent, described as the father of the X-Files. And a character prominently featured in one episode is conspicuously attired in Kolchak's trademark seersucker jacket, black knit tie, and straw hat. So there you go. They tried to bring the series back in 2005. It was a hopeless failure. I'm not even going to talk about it. I'm not even talking about it. They've tried to make movies and other things. Now, they've written a bunch of Kolchak novels, a whole lot of them. And there was a comic book that was released. There was a book called The Night Stalker Chronicles, where very famous writers contributed short stories about Kolchak to it. And that did very, very well. The graphic novel, Kolchak the Night Stalker, 50th Anniversary, won the Bram Stoker Award for Best Graphic Novel. And that was pretty cool, too. In May of 2012, Disney said Johnny Depp was going to do it. I'm glad that didn't happen. You can get, as I mentioned, The Night Stalker on Blu-ray, and then you can also stream it on various places. But I think probably watching it for free on Saturday nights on MTV is your best bet, because there's only 20 episodes. They're about 50 minutes apiece, but only those 20 episodes. So anyway, why don't I answer some more of your questions? Let me just go ahead and I just love this. This is some fan art that was done, and it's really great. It's really great. Let's see here. Let's see here. Let's see. Oh yeah, when he be cool, he be Papa. But when he be bad, he be Carl Kolchak. Mark wrote, hacka. Let's see here. Kolchak giving someone the point. There you go. Maybe tonight you need to get Kolchak giving you the point. There you go, Wolf. By the way, like, share, subscribe, retweet, notification bell, all the things you can do for free that help us with the algorithm, the almighty algorithm. I'm praying now to the algorithm god who might kill people in an episode of The Night Stalker. Also, we have super chats and we have memberships. Please avail yourselves of those. It helps us pay the bills around here. And also, turn on those gifted memberships, Daddy-O. Somebody might just give you one. And then you can watch that exclusive members-only content that we do on the weekends. And by the way, quite a sacrifice on my part. People laughing at it is pretty funny. Charles Lechmere is the Ripper. Yes. Rumpled, I like that you capitalized the point. Well, yes, of course you would. Metalman Vicky says, Tony Vincenzo was a great character. Yes. Well, it deserves that level of respect, the point. It does. It might need all caps when Kolchak does it. Wow. Hell yeah, brother. Look out, Doc Torn. Look out, Doc Torn. The Wolf says, Coat, he doesn't possess the Ball State ring of power. Well, no. Not everyone can. Sober Shelton says, Kolchak's typewriter is a Royal Model HH, 1952 to 1957. Sober Sheldon, welcome to the program. Thank you for that very, very insightful bit of deep cut trivia that we love around here. I got to tell you, and maybe you'll agree with me, Sheldon, that whole office looked like it was preserved from 1957. It really did. It's like they haven't replaced it. Not the file cabinets. They haven't washed the windows. Nothing. That's a relief, Wolf. Nobody wants to wield the kind of power the Ball State Ring of Power bestows upon a wearer. Julian Zezer says, don't androids deserve their right to self-defense? Well, clearly this one thought it did. And it was sentient. It had the self-preservation instinct. Metalman Vicky says, yes, Lara Parker was great. Yes, and the perfect witch, personally, I think. Let's see here. Keeps Hallow. That sounds cool. Ichabod Davidson. There you go. Let's see here. Instead of Harley Davidson, Ichabod Davidson. That's funny. Let's see. People laughing at Julian. Sleepy Hollow. Metal Maiden Vicky says she lives near Sleepy Hollow, New York. Metal Maiden Vicky's got lots of tie-ins to our shows for some reason. The Wolf's laughing. They're called sewers. Well, I'm trying to class the joint up around here a little bit. Let's see here. Let me get this. This is just so nice. We'll put that up there. Rumple Trenchcoat says, I have a certain set of skills. Give me back my eggs. I have a certain set of skills. Make me a nightmare for people like you. If you let her go, that'll be the end of it. But if you don't. Anyway, give me what I want and I'll go away. Living in sin? Come on in. Rumple Trenchcoat. Now, see, I hope you have those gifted memberships turned on. And because I don't watch the show on YouTube, I'm watching it here on StreamYard, I don't know who got those memberships. But Rumple Trenchcoat, thank you again for bestowing those memberships on people. That is extremely generous of you. And, of course, that's going to get you the point from Carl Kolchak himself. In fact, the point without super chat and without banner. That's what we call the full point. That's Carl Kolchak saying, hey, Rumpled, hey, buddy, hey, you're my man, all right. That's what he's saying. It's what I'm hearing him say, anyway, in my head a little bit. Let me see. The point. Yes. Dupa also would like the point. Well, Dupa, then you're going to have to get the point. Also, without banner and without super chat. There you go. That's for you, Dupa Dupa Doo. The point. And I'm even going to follow it up with also, yes, the point from Tom Gulley. That's a double point. That's a two-pointer, we call that. Back in the office. Is what we call that. Because we call things here in the office of the Tom Gulley Show. So thank you so much, Dupa, for the $5. I appreciate it. Rumpled Trenchcoat says, Sleepy Harley? The Headless Harley? That's my contribution. The Headless Harley. Let's see here. Metalman Vicky says, the news office was so close to the train, too. Super close. The L tracks there in Chicago. Yes, very close. You just got the feeling it was in the crappiest part of town possible. Rumple Trenchcoat says, the point is definitely not fragile. No. And the point also unaffected by the Bumpus's dogs. There you go. Dupa says, I got the double point. You sure did. That's the 2-pointer. That's what we call the dose. The dose. Mm-hmm. Wow. Okay. Let's see here. Mr. Beer, A Name, Bro Fister, Lenny Waves, and Moo Chrome got memberships. Let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, none of those people ever actually are here in the chat room, but we're glad they got a membership. We call that the Mo. The Mo. Why? Because it's a Mo membership. Well, you can call it anything you want. But it is the point times 2. I just love this photo. This is one where you can tell he is conning somebody here. He is pretending to go along with what they're saying so he can make them think he's like Columbo would, make them think he's not a problem. He's not an issue. He's just, that's of course, whatever you say is right, I'm sure. Like Mo. The Mo. I got you, Julian Caesar. It's 2 points, so it's right in the eyeballs. Right in here. Yeah, that's pretty good. Melanie and Vicky's laughing out loud. Rumpled. Side note, will you be doing a show on Eddie Albert and Suzanne Plachette episode? Lots happening in that one. Oh, he's going to do one on every episode. And I've been thinking a lot about this. Rumpled Trenchcoat, a Columbo podcast. I know it's going to take you guys a long time to get through Columbo. I get that. All right. I really, and you're going to do what you're going to do, but I'm highly, 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 highly recommending that you move on to Rockford after that. I'm just saying. And by the way, our good friend Ed Robertson would be a wealth of information, many books and other things about Rockford that you could get into on it. But I think you'll like it. Or maybe you just need a little quickie and you do the Night Stalker. Do what you want. By the way, for the 90th consecutive time, cut my hair. Nobody said anything. By the way, phone lines are open at 972-994-6822 if you'd like to call in and comment on today's program. Because if not, we'll get out of here. We won't make a big thing out of it. But I think it's going to be Wednesday. Maybe it could be tomorrow, I guess. We're doing John Dehner. And by the way, John Dehner's story, pretty amazing. Pretty amazing once you get into it. So there you are. Let's see. I would say that although Columbo and Kolchak would get along, I really think Kolchak is a lot closer to Rockford. He's always putting up with a lot of people that don't think well of him. He doesn't have an official position with any sort of police or any, but he kind of knows how to get through those worlds. I would say he's very close to Rockford. Rockfish, oh yeah, Isaac Hayes. And Rumpled says, Rockford Files is an excellent choice to follow up Columbo. But you know what we could do? I've mulled this around. This is where my mulling goes on right here. Is the mulling area. By the way, you can also watch, I think you have to have an Apple product, but I think the MeTV app, you can also watch Kolchak, the Night Stalker, on the MeTV app for free. Yes. Rumple Trenchcoat said, Vicky, we did skip that episode, but we're considering maybe doing that one live as a bonus. If you guys do a live show, I'm watching it. Let's see here. Okay, cool, Rumple. The Wolf says, I'll have to buy another Firebird. Yeah, the Wolf had the exact Firebird that Rockford had. So that's it. Kolchak, the Night Stalker. I don't know, man. For my money, 20 episodes, and again, an amazing show that is very popular now, and just has continued to become more and more and more and more popular. I think it's probably better that there are only 20 episodes. They were all very high quality, and people can get into it without a giant investment. Plus, you have all those movies. Now, I would recommend not watching any but the first two movies. It's very complicated, but the last 4 episodes weren't aired very often. And so they made movies out of those. But because we can see all 20 original episodes, I would say watch the episodes as the episodes. Don't watch any of the Frankenstein movies. You're not going to get anything out of that. But the first 2 movies, The Night Stalker and The Night Strangler, I would recommend watching those. And you might want to just go ahead and watch those first 2 movies and then watch the series. That might be a way to go about it. Excuse me. Live show would be great. And it would probably have to be, I'm assuming, Rumpled, that you would do that as a watch along. In other words, while you're watching it, you'd say, okay, everybody, start it right now, whatever. And then you would comment while everyone's watching on their home screen, because you probably couldn't get away with showing it. You know what I'm saying? Rumpled Trenchcoat says, we're definitely going live, Dupa. I think we'll start off slow with Ask Me Anything and then doing the award show. Yeah, the award show. God, please do the award show. That's incredible. Great topic tonight. Kolchak is a badass. Well, speaking of badasses, Metal Maiden Vicky's Metal Euphoria on SonicAsylumRadio.com Saturdays from 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And she's going to get the point and the point. Thank you for the $2. Thank you very much. Is anybody going to do Outer Limits? We'll do Outer Limits one of these days. Outer Limits was an excellent show, also sort of an influence on The Night Stalker. Julian Zezer says, I'm the only one who hasn't seen Kolchak. I'll put it on the list. For all I know, there's some episodes on YouTube, and I want to watch it right now. I really want to watch the Kolchak, The Night Stalker, right this minute. Let me see here. Let me just see here. I'm just going to check and see very quickly if there's anything available, sort of hanging out. Let's see, Night Stalker's back. What happened to it? Kolchak, The Night Stalker. Is this an episode of it? Doesn't look like it. Oh, there's Horror in the Heights, which is the one where that demon consumes the flesh of people by taking the form of someone that they trust. That is available, it looks like, on YouTube. There's a 50th anniversary retrospective that I see here. The Sentry, the very last episode, it looks like, is on a channel. Let's see here. The Night Stalker is incredible. Wow. There's a lot of people. Oh, The Energy Eater is on. Well, wait, maybe that's just a guy talking about it. I don't know. You can look for yourself. The Spanish Moss Murders, that's the one with the sleep study episode. Let's see here. The Youth Killer. Oh, The Youth Killer is the one with Kathy Lee Crosby as Helen of Troy. Legacy of Terror. There looks like there's The Nightly Murders. Looks like it's on there. But I don't know. These are an hour and a half, some of these, and the show's only 51 minutes, so it probably contains quite a bit of commentary. But you can look around yourself and see what looks good to you, and check them out. 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern Time. check them out. But boy, oh boy, you can really tell how popular the Energy Eater looks like is available as a single episode, no commentary. You can really, oh, Mr. Ring, another of my favorites, is, they're all my favorites. But you can go on there and you can see how popular this show remains even to this day. You really can. I've watched before on YouTube, says the Wolf. Metal Main Vicky says, Julian, I recently watched the entire series. I had never seen it back in the day. It's so good. Dupa says, these photos look familiar, but I can't remember. Maybe we weren't old enough at the time when it came out. Well, I was kind of in 74, 75 would have made me 12 and 13 years old, which would have been right in the, for monsters and things of a supernatural nature. It was really good. I think The Strangler is good too. It is. Julian Caesar says, Dupa, you seem to think I'm young, but I'm old. Vicky, sounds like it still holds up, so I'm looking forward to it. Yes, please do. I confused you with someone else, Julian. I'm sorry. What's that guy doing up there? Get him off the screen, for crying out loud. No problem. I'll take it. Please, someone mistake me for someone younger. I cut my hair again. Anyway, I watched Kolchak on Peacock TV, says Metal Main Vicky. Well, that would have been before 2020, I think. Maybe it's still there, and I just didn't find it that way. Doc Torn is young. Oh, yeah, Doc Torn is pretty young. No, The Strangler is on YouTube. Okay. Well, I didn't even look on YouTube. I just did that video search on Google, so it's all jumps up. Rubble Trenchcoat says, now it looks like Vincenzo and Kolchak are arguing with Tom, which I'm sure it would be, Hey, Tony, calm down. I'm sure he's got a rational explanation. That's your explanation? Come on. Nobody's going to believe that. Hey, I'm handling this. Anyway, I do a little bit of acting on the show here just to street it up for the kids. Let's see. Phone lines are still open, 972-994-6822. We'll leave them open for another 5 or 10 minutes, then we'll get out of here. I always try to do a custom background. By the way, writing Barracuda magazine I used to both subscribe to, and I think I wrote for him one time. I might have done an article. Who knows? Metal Main Vicky says it's still there. I didn't watch the series not that long ago. Okay, well, but that's not for free. That's some of that high-end TV viewing. I never do. But I'm going to be watching some Night Stalker right after this show is over. I have a big meeting in the morning. And then a big project I'm working on that's very, very, very involved. Oh, let's see. Here we go. This is what we're talking about. This is what we like to see right here. That's loud. Hi, and welcome to the Tom Gulley Show. Who am I speaking with?
I don't think you want to know who you're speaking with, fella.
Wait, I'm seeing there is an episode of The Night Stalker here it was produced but never released, called The Wolf.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure that they could catch me.
I don't think that. Well, I think Kolchak would have figured out who it was and made some bargain. That was another thing. Kolchak, and I think one or two episodes, the way that he got rid of the lizard was they gave the eggs back. He didn't kill it. You know what I mean? It wasn't always kill him. It was whatever.
Yeah. There might have been a couple of them that got away that way.
The one where the alien was trying to find its way home, it's like, well, just let him go home, for crying out loud. Get him out of here. He's not coming back. But yeah, I like how Simon Oakland, on McCloud, the on Kolchak the Night Stalker, Tony Vincenzo, Simon Oakland would go, out, out, out.
I love the way he always used his first name like he wasn't his boss.
Yeah.
That's what got me every time. It's like, Tony, come on, Tony.
Yeah, yeah.
Give me a chance.
Yeah, and
I can prove it.
Vincenzo never called him Carl. It was Kolchak. Rumpled Trenchcoat. Rumpled Trenchcoat said.
They came out with that. Go ahead.
Well, no, I was just going to say, Rumpled Trenchcoat says Kolchak could only catch the wolf if he planted a row of trees that looked at him funny.
No, he'd have to catch me with a cast on my leg.
Yeah. What were you going to?
I still can't forget the looks on people's faces when they watched me move that car with a cast on my leg.
Well, that was supernatural. Now, what were you about to say about whatever?
Oh,
I interrupted you.
The funniest one for me is when Simon Oakland moved and thought he, had gotten it. They made it seem like he'd either been fired or he got transferred because of all the crap that Kolchak caused, and he thought he'd gotten away from it, and bam, he's right there in the same city with him again.
Yeah. He shows up on a story. Hey, Tony, I was in town, Dupa says, please remember to hit that like button. Yeah, please hit the like button. It don't cost nothing. But you've seen all 20 episodes. What are some of your favorite things?
Probably 30 times. Well, obviously the vampire one was one. I like the mummy one.
Mm-hmm.
What other one? I can't remember that strangler one, but I know I've seen it.
Well, I love the headless knight. I mean, I'm sorry, not the headless knight, the headless motorcycle one was really good. It was like, because it was imaginative, It was like, oh, it's the headless horseman, only it's a dude on a motorcycle.
Well, the look on his face was, whenever they were trying to kill him, was always hilarious. I'd start laughing the minute I saw that face. It just cracked me up.
Yeah. And oh God, the camera. God, just that, because for 1974-75, that camera was very unique, and it always looked to me to be a little cheap and cheesy. But you're exactly right. That flash saved him on more than one occasion.
Probably saved his life 4 or 5 times at least.
Yeah, and always, it's his camera, yet he never seems to be able to operate it properly.
Here's something, Perv. We had one.
Oh,
just
really?
like that.
Oh my God.
Oh my gosh. They're such perv little cameras.
Yeah.
But a photojournalist using a piece of garbage like that
Yeah. Well, that was
shows how little time he ever got working at a newspaper to make any kind of money at all.
Well, and he would always be like, no, Tony, this time I've got it. I've got pictures. I've got recordings. And then he'd play it for him, and he would have accidentally recorded over it, or the pictures would come out with his thumb on them or something. It was just that close to proving it.
Or a lot of times he would have the pictures and then something would happen to destroy the camera.
Yeah. Or
expose the film.
Yeah, the supernaturally it just damaged the film. Like the picture was perfect except the creature wasn't in it.
That was always funny.
And Vincenzo would, on a few occasions, he would mention Miss Emily, the advice and puzzle lady. It's like, well, Miss Emily gets this much fan mail. They love her. You? Nobody. Nothing, He he would always bring up how popular Miss Emily was compared to, and Miss Emily was just this doddering, sweet old lady. They also had that intern girl for a while that was kind of inept, and everybody thought she got her job because her dad was like the owner of the independent news service or whatever. Rumple Trenchcoat says it's one step away from setting up a tripod with flash powder and a cuckoo bird. He did drive that pretty cool yellow Mustang convertible.
That seemed to be a staple in those days. It was all, whether it was Dan Tana or whoever, they always had to have a Mustang.
The FBI, Ephraim Zimbalist Jr. had that red Mustang convertible. But when Kolchak was driving his, it was like a 10 or 15-year-old car.
Wasn't Paul Newman driving one of those when in that kind of Sam Spade detective deal he did?
No, that was a Ghia. The second one, because the door didn't match the hood, and I think that was a Carmen Ghia, because I saw that recently and I looked it up. It was a sports car, but it wasn't a Mustang.
I haven't seen him for a long time. There's some of those. When I first started watching stuff for free on the internet, I just like over and over again watch Kolchak and some of those other ones, the old Sam Spade stuff, the newer stuff like that.
That movie was either the prequel or the sequel to the Drown.
Oh, Stacy Keach has one.
It was a prequel to the sequel, that Newman movie, to The Drowning Pool. And it's a character. Harper is the name. Lou Harper, I think, is the name of the detective, and it's from novels.
Harper. Yeah.
And Metal Maiden Vicky says, love the other male coworker too. He was comically snarky. Okay, I was going to bring up that guy, but the series regulars, other than Vincenzo, were only in a handful of episodes. 20 episodes, they were in 4 or 5. And that guy's name, because Kolchak had a nickname for him, but that guy was smarmy and went to like cocktail parties and stuff. He was sort of upscale. He was always looking down his nose at Kolchak. And Kolchak had absolutely he would make fun of his reporting and his writing, and they hated each other. If we really want to get into it, there's a very well-known character actor named John Fiedler, who a lot of people will remember from 12 Angry Men. He was the one that, does anybody want a cough drop? All out, my friend, and the guy with the watch. He was also in a real famous episode of Star Trek where the spirit of Jack the Ripper had traveled through the centuries, and it's a real soft-spoken guy.
Lechner again, Into the Future.
Yeah. Red Jack. Anyway, he played, what did they call him? The Ghoul or something. He was the medical examiner for Kolchak. And he was really weird. Just really weird.
Oh, that's right.
I'll pull him up here. Hold on. Because he was so good in that role. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Gordy the Ghoul. Gordy the Ghoul Spangler, a city morgue attendant and sometimes source of information. He runs a lottery pool based on death statistics. He's only in 3 episodes, though. That actor that Metal Maiden Vicky was talking about, Ron Updike, was a reporter and pretty much Kolchak's rival. And he refers to him as, instead of Updike, Uptight. He's always smartly dressed, hobnobbing with Chicago's elite. Actually, he is in 18 episodes. I thought he was only in a couple, but Miss Emily is in 12 episodes. So they were there. It's just a great show. I'm gonna be watching it tonight. Can't wait. So what else is new? Did you watch the Super Bowl, Wolf?
I watched the highlights, like 13-minute highlights.
You didn't miss anything. Kansas City.
No, I figured I didn't.
Their offensive line just got destroyed the entire game.
And they didn't even. I don't know if they tried to run the ball enough, but it was fairly obvious that that defense was cut loose on them. And Spags had no solution to that run or the pass. And the Eagles, as this guy from Philly used to call them, have one of the best offensive lines in the league and have for the past few years.
Well,
I'm not surprised at the outcome.
It just crippled him because Mahomes threw a pick six, and then he threw another interception deep in his own end. This is before halftime. That wasn't a pick six, but they got the ball on the 10 or something like that. It was.
Yeah.
He was under a lot of pressure. Doopa says, my husband says I probably missed Kolchak by a couple of years. He loved it, but it doesn't sound like the kind of show he likes. He laughed and said, I was a kid. Now I have to watch it. Metal Main Vicky said Kolchak would leave stuff on his desk. Oh God, that was always, oops, I left it on my desk. Sounds like a fun show. Let's see here. We got the Eagles. Julian Zito says, isn't Andy Reid an offensive line specialist? Well, yeah, but they were playing with an injured, they had to move their left tackle to guard and a bunch of stuff. There were a lot of injuries. In a lot of ways, it was like the loss that the Chiefs had to the Buccaneers a couple years earlier. Their offensive line was just jacked up.
Their offensive line has been bad all year. He's the only thing that kept them winning games was that quarterback because he's mobile. He made plays down the field. Also, the fact that, unlike the Eagles, these people couldn't figure out that they actually needed to cover Kelsey and not just let him drift into open zone space all over the place.
Yeah. Did he even have a catch? I mean, it was pretty bad.
He had 2 catches, I think.
Yeah, he didn't have any in the first half. Let's see. Dupa said, oh, by the way, the Chiefs also had some really bad drops. I mean, wide open for a first down drops.
Yeah. Correct.
Let's see. Dupa said, you said you would be okay with Philly winning. I am. As the Wolf knows, I don't care who wins. It doesn't mean anything to me at all. Unless
they're the Colts, he doesn't really.
Well, even the Colts these days, Plymouth Argyle upset Liverpool in the FA Cup. That's way more important to me than what happened.
Satisfying.
Well, they're
way more satisfying.
Third division team. They upset the leading Premier League club in the FA Cup. Anyway, yeah, it was a boring game. It was 24-zip at halftime. It didn't look like they were going to have a remedy for any of that. And they had to throw the ball. Once you get down 24-zip, you don't really have the luxury of running. Although they didn't try to run.
After seeing the first few series, I smelled BO right away. I was like, "Oh, this is going to get ugly."
Yeah, and it was ugly. So anyway, it's over. Even Carl Kolchak wouldn't have to investigate too long.
It's over.
Figure out what was going on there, but yeah. So why do you like the Night Stalker so much? What's your take on it?
Are you kidding? You know where I watched when I was younger? WPTV Channel 4. Are you kidding?
There you go. Yeah.
That's all we ever saw was the Night Stalker. Every weekend at least.
I thought you would have liked.
My mom and dad, we all kind of watched it together. And then it was my mom and I watching it, and then it was me watching it, upstairs on our little I always had a tiny little 13-inch TV in the room that my brother and I would fight over. Well, I always was, because he was always gone.
Yeah.
It's like the only fight one of two fights we had. He came home, and I think I was watching In Search of with Leonard Nimoy, and he changed the channel. And I said, "What are you doing?" "I'm changing the channel. Watch what I want." And I said, "What's the rule?" And, we had this rule. Whoever was watching TV, when whoever got home, that's what we were watching. So he decided that wasn't it. And I, unfortunately for him, picked him up over my head, dropped him on the bed, and started smacking him like a stepchild and telling him, "Okay, anytime you can give up, it'll stop if you give up." And finally he gave up.
You were lucky. My family, because there's so many of us, we had a very complicated. It was whoever was there first. If I was watching something and my brother came in, I was there first, so we got to watch what I want. But then if another person came in, it went to popular vote. So like I had 5 siblings, so I could be sitting there. My brother comes in, he doesn't want to watch it. My sister comes in, she doesn't want to watch it. Suddenly, I'm outvoted. But then if 2 more siblings came in and were on my side, we went back and watched what I wanted. And then, of course, if my mom or my dad came in, well, it didn't matter what the vote was then. To watch what they wanted to watch. So,
it was always your dad's choice.
Which was fair. But Dupa says, our family came home and went to the nursing home to be with our mother. We had to be quiet, so we were whisper yelling and giving each other slow high fives. Yeah, you mentioned, I think I did say, I for the sake of Dupa's mom, would really like Philadelphia to win. Was he both? No, let's see. Reed always focused on offense. Buddy Ryan was the defensive genius, says Julian. Rumpel Trenchcoat says, my Broncos didn't make it to the game, so I rooted for the Eagles, for Dupa. Let's see here. Julian Cedar says, Saturday show, everyone mentioned you, Dupa, and they were rooting for the Eagles because of you. Yes, that's right. We did that.
I bought a actual sideline warm-up from the Eagles for one of my friends that she was a Eagles and Broncos fan. And that was the most expensive gear in the league because all the crap they used to have on their jerseys and oh my gosh, it was $245 for that sideline warm up.
Yeah. Well, Rumpel Trenchcoat says the parents' vote is always a little weighted and not so quite a democracy. Dupa says, I'm tearing up now, guys. Thanks, guys. You know what? Also, here's another thing. The very first penalty of the game was the softest offensive interference call I have ever seen in my life, and it got me in that whole Chiefs are favored by the refs mood, and then I really wanted Philadelphia to win. Plus the fact, and I'll say it as many times as I need to, everybody's talking Patrick Mahomes is the next GOAT and all this other stuff, and maybe he will be. I don't know. I don't care. But one thing is, when Tom Brady and those Patriots were playing, I never saw any of them do one commercial. It seems like they were all about football. Now, when they got out of the league, then they went and did endorsements like crazy. But the Chiefs, it just seems like you can't watch a game without Kelsey or Mahomes or Andy Reid being on a commercial.
Now, you also have to consider the times, too. Back then, you didn't have social media blowing up like it is now. So, and so they put a lot more emphasis on not just TV commercials, but you had a lot of money coming out of shoe contracts. I remember reading, I forget which one of the Raiders it was, but he liked wearing a different shoe than what he was being paid to wear. So they would spat his shoes and then draw the emblem of the shoe company that was paying him money on the outside of the spat. So he'd have on like Adidas, but they would they would spat them and then put a Nike swoosh on the outside of it so he could get paid.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of shenanigans still going on.
Well, I think the shoe money used to be bigger than it is now. There's more
huge in those days.
Yeah, more people I think more people get shoe contracts, but they're not big. Now it's not like it used to be, but there was a little social media back then, and endorsements have existed since the beginning of time. I just don't see other teams or players, with the exception of maybe when Peyton Manning was playing, that are just everywhere. But what do I know? Oh, Julian Zito says Mahomes is getting brutalized every other play. What could he do? Julian Zito says Wolf in bike racing, they do the same thing. Put fake label stuff on so the riders can use what they like while still supporting the sponsor. When I was playing high school soccer, I had a skull patch on my uniform that would never be allowed today. And I had a guy bringing me like a roll of skull every week for free. And I'd give some to other players and whatnot.
Yeah. I used to get free stuff from all my sponsors too when I was competing as a bodybuilder. My friend Sam, who gave me, like, thanks to Twin Labs, I used to get MCT oil for free from Sim, and it was pure stuff coming from LA, which a lot of people don't know this, but initially MCT oil was a byproduct of Vandicamps making green beans and canning them. And then it was pure 100% MCT oil. Now it comes from coconuts, but back then it came from them processing green beans. And Sim would get it from this company, and it came in a black bottle that looked like a 55-gallon drum. So Twin Labs, whose MCT oil was crap, had sugar and all kinds of crap in it, and it wasn't 100% stuff, decided they were going to sue them. And it wasn't that they could say that they were copying their product, because they couldn't, but they just wanted to tie them up in court and cost them so much money that they would go down the tubes, because this company was small. And it worked. They put them out of business. But I've still got Sim's weightlifting gloves, belt, and straps, and that was like 30 years ago. That stuff has lasted that long and still good. I think the name of his stuff was Atlas Lifting or something, if I remember right. But so yeah, you get the product you're going to go, and then if somebody else wants to give you money, it's like most of the supplements in those days. Bodybuilders were using those supplements; they were using drugs. So but you got some money from that, and of course none of them ever worked a day. Well, I competed working a full job as well, so it's been like that though.
Yeah. Well,
I think Arnold Palmer's the one that started getting big endorsements for athletes. Once he started getting into it, people started realizing you could make some major money off of that stuff.
Well, all of the New York sports teams, starting in the 30s probably, they might not have been national contracts, but they all did endorsements for this and for that.
Tang, Ovaltine.
Well, even before that, they would be Rawlings gloves or just sports-related stuff. And then it got into the big thing in the 50s was shaving cream. All the athletes were doing shaving cream. That continued into the 70s, but Kolchak.
And we talked about spot build and all that stuff a long time ago about the endorsements for those things.
Well, but Kolchak should have really investigated what was going on with some of those oil companies and stuff.
What was your routine? Because I know that we would watch Kolchak, and then I would be awake going, the next step would be like the Dave Allen show, and then it'd be Monty Python at the end of the night. How did your viewing routine go?
That was pretty much it. I mean, even when it was on Friday nights, I don't know if Carson had stopped doing Fridays by then, and they would do a best of Carson. But it was probably that or the late movie. One of the stations would always have a late movie. Sometimes it was Sammy Terry. So it would just depend.
Well, that was Saturday, I think.
Yeah, well, that's when it originally aired, was on Saturdays, on network, not in syndication. I think you're talking about in syndication. So it just would depend, because you remember, I remember that like for a while at 11 o'clock or whenever, it was Star Trek was always on Saturday night. And it just depends. Then Star Trek was on every night, very, very late. But it was just whatever happened to be on, like a lot of things were back then, I suppose. But I can tell you that Dave Allen and all of those British comedies were definitely on that list.
With Marty Feldman. Yeah. His show was really hilarious.
Yeah, people don't. And, I think, we don't have a Dave Allen show here. We never had that. A guy that was just an incredible storyteller and joke teller, but then also those little they were very quick skits. Yeah, that was a really, really great show, and not as zany as Benny Hill. They were a little bit more cerebral, a little smarter than Benny Hill.
He came on later, and I think it was because all those started on PBS.
Yeah,
and I would watch those. Then it kind of went. I think it was Dave Allen and Monty Python, I think, was first, and then it was Dave Allen, and then it was Feldman. And then it became, I want to say, John Biner and Benny Hill.
Yeah, John.
And of course, Carol Burnett was on the major network. But,
I think it was the John Biner show, but then he was also on another show before that called Zapped or something. It had a weird name to it. Julian Zezer says most athletes today, even niche sports, spend a lot of time on their social media. Some athletes that suck at athletics should not be on social media, but they are, man. Julian Zezer says, Tom Wolf Rumpled et al. My friend insists that Fawlty Towers is the best sitcom ever. Yes or no? What do you think?
I liked Ab Fab a lot, especially when they went to visit her relatives in that town, and the guy kept coming. They went to the wrong house because of her friend. Oh, I think it's this one, darling, over here. This must be the right house. And they go to like a house that they weren't supposed to be at, and they kept sending this guy to try to get him. And the staff at the house they were supposed to go to were waiting on him, and they kept sending this guy to come and get him, and it scared her, so she would open the door and see who it was, then slam it. And one time she threw money at him to try to get him to leave, and eventually they found out they were in the wrong place. It was hilarious.
Well, Rumpled...
Oh, darling, really darling.
Well, Rumpled Trenchcoat says Fawlty Towers was the best. Dupa says, Julian, Fawlty Towers was great. The best, I can't name just one, and says Rumpled, wow. I think it's in the conversation, but I think it's too hard for me to say that. Because like a sitcom nobody talks about anymore, which was amazingly good. It was only on 2 or 3 seasons. Was
All Things Great and Small.
Well, that
was one I watched.
That wasn't a situation comedy. That was a dramedy or whatever. But
I watched it though.
But yeah, a lot of people watched it. It was a popular show. Buffalo Bill with Dabney Coleman. He's so despicable and self-absorbed, and
that show is really funny.
So it's hard to say one. What I will say is this: most people don't realize there's only 12 or 13 episodes of the first iteration, because they brought it back many years later. But that first Faulty Towers that we all watched for forever, only 12 or 13 episodes. It was only that one 12 or 13 separate. I mean, for 30 years. So, I mean, as far as
watch
quality.
30 Rock?
Off and on.
Did you watch 30 Rock?
Off and on. It was.
I thought there were some pretty funny episodes of that.
Yeah, I mean, I like The Office, the American version. Rumpel said, I thought we were talking British sitcoms. Well, even British sitcoms. You have one that I love called Rising Damp, which was this slum, and the slumlord is just completely despicable. And living in his apartment building is this sort of floozy girl that he lusts after. And then this black tenant that the floozy girl is crazy for, that wants nothing to do with her. So you've got the landlord lusting after her. She doesn't like him. She likes the other guy, and he doesn't want anything to do with her. The Rising Damp is super funny, and it's brutal. It's just it's just brutal. The British have a lot of good ones. A lot of people like Are You Being Served? A lot of people like Keeping Up Appearances. Keeping Up Appearances is actually pretty good. That lady that wants to act like she's very upper crust, but she's not. Her name is Buckets, and it's Bouquet. No, it's not. It's Bucket.
Did you watch Red Dwarf?
Yes, that was very good. Blackadder.
Blackadder.
I like New Tricks. Let's see here. Doopadoo says The League of Gentlemen is one of my favorite British sitcoms. What about The Young Ones? Metal Main Vicky says Green Wing is fantastic for British TV shows. Rumpled Trenchcoat says many great shows. Hard to pick one, but I still love Faulty Towers. Doc Martin, Rising Damp is on the list. There we go. Thank you, Dupa. Mrs. Bucket, yes. Bouquet. Julie Zeezer says, Keeping Up Appearances, Are You Being Served, Blackadder, Red Dwarf, Faulty Towers were all broadcast on PBS. Oh, they could never broadcast Rising Damp on PBS.
Well, what was the one that had? It's right on the tip of my tongue. My brother likes that one too. Where he's an art expert. Oh crap! What is that called?
I don't know. The Vicar of Dibley is pretty good.
No. This is
no. I'm not.
Lovejoy.
I'm not saying that's okay. Lovejoy.
Did you watch Lovejoy?
No. Who had the sister?
You've never watched Lovejoy?
No. Who had the sister with a garage and room for a pony? I have no idea what you're talking about, Ruffled Trenchcoat. Julian Zeter said they used to broadcast all sorts of risque stuff on PBS, including some nudity. Yeah, nudity, but Rising Damp, just so not PBS. Maybe it was on, Father Ted. Did you ever see Father Ted?
I saw a few of them.
Oh God! I think it's Father Ted. One is there's this other priest or maybe aspiring priest.
That might be on. You know what? That might be on Tubi right now.
Well, there's this other priest or aspiring priest. I can't remember what show this is. I think it's from Father Ted, where there's this dumb aspiring priest, and he's got a little tiny toy horse. It's about an inch tall. And he's pointing out the window. And he goes, let's go over it one more time. That horse is far away. And he's pointing out the window. This horse is very small. The dumb one thought, since the faraway horse didn't look very big, it was, anyway, let's see. Dupa goes, the wolf is so disappointed in Tom. Yes, for not seeing Lovejoy. Rumpled Trenchcoat says, I'll go ahead and say Bouquet and make her happy. Would always make some odd brag because her sister married a rich man, so she's always add the room for a pony or a detached house, etc. Yeah, her long-suffering husband having to do all sorts of dumb craps as you could feel.
Oh, and I watched Doctor Who too on PBS. That was one that came on really late.
There was
that's when I saw those.
Let's see here. There was one called May to December, I think it was called. And it was about an older man that was married to a much younger woman. There was one called House Calls or something like that. Oh, what about, oh gosh, it's the one, Dad's Army. I haven't seen it. Most of my time was spent after those first few watching detective stuff from there, murder mystery stuff from on the BBC. But maybe over somewhere in Shepherd's Bush in London right now, someone is watching Kolchak, the Night Stalker. That's my greatest hope. Hey,
talk about Diane.
That BritBox is very popular. That that service. There's tons and tons and tons and tons of good British series. Rumpel just mentioned another one. Hello is good if you liked Are You Being Served. I think there might be one called Open All Night. It's about a convenience store in a part of London or somewhere. It's pretty good. There's a lot of them that are pretty good. All sorts.
I've seen a lot of complaints about that BritBox thing. How people are trying to hate it because of the taxes or something, the charge, whatever it is. You can't see TV if you don't have it or something like that.
Not over in England.
Yeah.
No, see, BritBox is a streaming service here in the United States that shows British shows.
What's the one called over there? It's a box just like HBO or something that they have to watch TV.
No,
I forget what the heck it is.
No. You're onto a thing where we get our television for free over an antenna. In order to watch, it's now streaming and other things, but certainly over an antenna, you have to pay a fee every year. And they've got devices that can tell whether you're, like, if you haven't paid your tax, they can go by your house with this device. There's a reality show on about it over in England. They can tell if you're actually watching television, and if you haven't paid your fee, which is like $200 a year, then you can't watch anything.
It's a lot.
Yeah. Julian Caesar says there was a show called The Good Life, a British comedy about self-sufficient hippies living next to British nobility. That's funny. Rumpled says, yes, open all hours. Coupled was funny. Yes, Rumpled says a TV license. And you have to get a radio license. I don't know that, I mean, it's really, really cheap. But yeah, because the state, BBC One, BBC Two, BBC Three, they take the tax money from all that, and that's what they use to produce the shows. And it's also why British shows don't just continue season after season after season. They'll do one season, what they call a series. What we call a season, they call a series. And they'll do a season, and then they have to have it all approved. And are we doing a second one? And there might be a gap of a year or two before they do another one. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Those detective ones are also usually it's like each series has from 3 to 6, usually from 3 to 6 shows, or some of them are 2.
Yeah.
But it'll be like an hour or more long thing, almost like a movie, and then you see the next one. I've watched a lot of those series on the not Tubi, on my other free streaming sites.
There's a real good one from over there called Line of Duty, about the corruption in the police department over there. It's a kind of like The Wire or something. Folks are talking about coupling. That they did try that one over here. I really liked it, but it never made it. Dupa says, I haven't seen it. My watch list is getting out of control. Dupa, welcome to my world. I'm on episode 615 of Dark Shadows. I only have another 600 more episodes to go. I'll be doing this show when I'm 90, going, I'm on episode 100 and 1100 or whatever.
I watched the Dark Shadows movie last night with Depp.
Don't do that.
I just don't like that guy. I've never liked him. He's one of these nut jobs.
That show was it was all camp. It doesn't even have the spirit of the original show. At least the one they tried to do in the 90s tried to do the same thing. They didn't do it very well, but they tried. And there are 2 Dark Shadows movies. There's Night of Dark Shadows, and then the other one. And one of those actually had the full cast. Another one didn't have Jonathan Frid, but those were pretty true to the series. Tom, what year was the Buffalo Bill show? Asked Dupa. I'm going to say 78, 79, 80, maybe 81 in that area. Just look up Dabney Coleman or Gina Davis. That was Gina Davis's first big full-time role in a series. Also, the father on Alf played a big role in that one. 83 to 84. It might have been 83 or 84. It might have been a little earlier. When was it, Dupa? Was it 83 or 84? Yeah, that's a really good series, the Buffalo Bill. God, is he funny in that series. Always about him. Always just so vain and so conniving. Just really good. Anyway. All right, man. Well, I've got to investigate some supernatural murders here this evening, so I should probably wrap this thing up.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go back to watching. I've been watching anime on this site called High Anime. And I'm watching one where they're sent into this game to find glitches in it and to document them so that the DV department or the dev department or what DV department can get rid of the glitches and get rid of those things. And they're carry this little stone pad with them that's like a computer that they can type in. And anyway, I started watching that last night, and but I think I'm going to end up watching maybe either Columbo or I might end up just watching the Columbo instead. Most of the stuff I've seen, all the detective stuff I've seen, so I'm going back to older stuff.
Now, I'm certain, Wolf, that you watch an episode of Columbo that corresponds with one of the Rumpled Trenchcoat episodes. So you can watch the episode and then watch the Rumpled Trenchcoat podcast right after on YouTube.
Well, I'm subscribed to his channel, so I can watch... If he's got all those on his channel, then I can watch videos after whichever one I watch.
Well, that's why I bring it up. Is they don't have all the episodes. You know, they're going through. Well, they will eventually have all the episodes, but so you got to go to their page first.
If they start chronologically, then it's going to work with what I'm doing.
Oh, okay. I didn't know.
I'm going to start at the first one, and then.
I didn't know that you were doing it that way. But yeah, they start at the first episode. I don't think they start at the pilot movie. They might start at the pilot movie. But if you go to their channel, you can see actually which ones they have.
Well, Tom, I'm a binge watcher. Obviously, you know that.
I do.
Then a binge watcher doesn't start at some wacky place in something he's binging on. He starts at the beginning.
Well, right. I'm just saying, you'll know if they have an episode or not for it. Once like it's either they start with the pilot or they start with the first episode. I don't know which, but then they go in complete order, chronological.
Well, I'll find out if Tubi's got the whole series, or I might have to go to another.
They do
another site and watch it. That because there's, well, you know as well as I do. If you want to find something free on the internet, you can find it.
Yeah. Rumpled Trenchcoat says he'd recommend Columbo, but his opinion might be a little biased.
Just a little bit.
Metal Main Vicky says...
a few percentages.
Yes. Metal Main Vicky says, Tom, you got to check out the early Dark Shadows episodes, and you can see Carolyn dancing up a storm at the Blue Whale. Carolyn gets hotter and hotter as the series goes on. Yeah, maybe he's a little biased. Just a touch, people are saying. Metal Man Vs. Many of the scenes of cool tunes and dancing at the Blue Whale. The Blue Whale is the Regal Beagle of Dark Shadows. Julian Zeder says, has anyone seen on YouTube the Russian version of Married with Children? It's literally the same show with different actors speaking Russian. There's a documentary about it too. That sounds hilarious.
That's very
Rumpled says, we start with Murder by the Book, which is maybe my favorite episode, the first non-movie episode, and we only skipped Dead Weight. We just released Lovely But Lethal Season 3 yesterday. So they don't do the pilot movie, but I don't know if the pilot movie is on Tubi anyway, because I have the first 2 seasons on DVD, so I don't watch them on Tubi. Rumpled, yes. Happy together?
Well, I'll find out, obviously. As I said, they probably don't, but because they generally have. Well, no, I'm not. I could be wrong because they have the. Well,
it's hard.
Generally, their stuff starts with the series, and you don't see the pilot. But they might, and if they don't, YouTube might actually have the pilot.
Well, and it's some series they make the pilot the first episode, and it's difficult with the Columbos and the McLeods because those were 2-hour TV shows. So they're movie length anyway. So anyway.
Yeah, well, and there's some of the other sites that I have for watching stuff too. I had to watch something on 123 Free Movies last night because it wouldn't, sometimes on Soper TV, it doesn't, for some reason the servers don't work or whatever, and I have to go to one of my other free services. But
those guys are jerks.
So, what, Soper TV?
Yeah, they're a bunch of jerks.
They do have a lot of stuff that where you go on, because they usually give you a choice of 5 servers, and a lot of times they don't work.
Yeah,
I've contacted them and said, hey, you might want to get blah, blah, blah up and running because it's not working right now.
Do you know why they don't work, don't you?
No.
Because those guys are a bunch of jerks.
Well, I guess they haven't had their supply of German chocolates restocked.
They haven't gotten around to it because they don't have Pervitine energy. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, they're just lounging around, not able to get through anything because they're just completely unmotivated with no energy.
Well, I've heard that when they be good, they be Popeye. But when they be bad, they be Soper TV.
I put that in there because of Billy Zane's name.
Yes.
I said when he be cool, he be Popeye, but when he be bad, he be Billy, and then just left it at that.
Yeah, I'm surprised we didn't get more spiders in tonight's show. Anyway, all right, man. Well, thanks for calling in. We'll wrap with you later, I'm sure. I think I may even do John Daner tomorrow. Yeah, maybe Wednesday's better. Yeah, Wednesday. Wednesday I'll do John Daner. I don't know what I'll do for tomorrow, but we're doing John Daner. It's going to blow you guys away, I'm telling you.
Oh, you didn't do it that one time, huh? What happened?
I don't know. Something.
I think you were.
President.
I can't remember what happened, but you were supposed to do it, and then
President Carter died.
Oh, that's right.
Screwed up my show. Way to go, President Carter. Thanks.
Thanks a lot, Carter.
Yeah, got us out of the Olympics and messed up my John Daner show. So.
Oh, I know a lot of wrestlers that were pretty ticked off at that. Because there are two of them were out here. One of them was coaching at Palomar College, and then ended up at San Diego State for a while until their wrestling program disappeared for some reason.
Yeah, Title IX. That's what got Ball States too.
Yeah.
Anyway. Well. Oh well. We'll talk to you later.
Goodbye.
Okay, goodbye. That's the wolf. I didn't make him do the goodbye, Daddy. Goodbye, Daddy. Anyway, I love it when the wolf calls in. Hey, I really got to thank some people that really deserve the point. They deserve it so much. The wolf, of course, and Rumpled Trenchcoat, a Columbo podcast, of course. Got to thank him. Doopa-doopa-doo. Congratulations to your Eagles. I hope your mother was very happy. And Metal Maiden Vicky, who has tipped me off on how I can see a gyrating Nancy Barrett, who is still alive, and I'd take her out. You know, I'm not... So what if she's 20 years older than me? I don't care. Anyway, I'm looking at that old clock on the wall, and it says that, like the Reverend Al Green, it's time for me to get up on out of here. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. Oh, wait a minute. Dupa says, Jimmy Carter was my favorite president outside of the office. That's a thought held by many people. The point of power. Well, that's because it's got the power ring. Maybe because laughing. Jimmy Carter was an avid fisherman, and that's cool. He was also an avid clubber of swamp rabbits with a boat oar. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's an avid lot of things. Anyway, I think that's the only left things to say is like, share, subscribe. Share with your friends. Share with an enemy. Let's get this show out there to the populace. Until next time, we'll see you next time. And it would be nice if we had some sound. But that's my fault. Maybe if I actually play the file,